Good save.
Best job I ever had was the best job because I made it up, really, which is a good way of guaranteeing good working conditions. I was 7 years old and I was on school holidays. I didn't have a job description per se, but my KPOs were pretty clear. KPOs. I learned that word last week. My KPOs were pretty clear. I had a very strict schedule. I started at 10 a.m. and clocked off at 2 p.m. And my schedule was pretty full with just a few breaks for morning tea and lunch. I had various duties. One of the main duties was playing this game where I rolled a ball down our driveway and tried to hit this toy car, and a direct hit was worth 10 points and a glancing hit was worth 5 points. This is a very important KPO in my job, and I had several sessions of that per day. Other duties included Lego and playing this toy soldiers game that I'd made up. Finally, at 2 p.m, I was allowed to clock off, and then I could go and play and do whatever. So, I was a weird kid, I guess, no surprises there. But, I think a lot of people have these weird little rituals or techniques or structures that they use to kind of get the most out of their time. And as a kid of age 7, I was already a bit of a stress head, even that early. So I think on some level I understood, even though this wasn't conscious, understood that if I kind of wrote down what I was going to do and thought about it a little bit, then ultimately I would get more playtime. In adult speak, I would say that I was trying to make sure I engage appropriately with the time I had and the responsibilities I had and the things I wanted to get done. So, one more quick story just to illustrate what a stress head I was. One day, this is a counterexample of I guess that idea of engaging appropriately with the time you have. One day my mum told me to just quickly tidy my room before dinner. It was 5 minutes before food was on the table, so she said, just go to your room and quickly tidy a few things up. So she meant just, make sure there's not stuff on the floor, maybe make my bed. She came in 15 minutes later and I'd upended every drawer and every wardrobe and everything I owned was on the floor everywhere, and I was trying to essentially spring clean my entire house and sort and categorize everything I owned. So this is an example of not engaging appropriately with the moment. Now, I was 7. So,
God,
okay.
I think you and Andre should have a talk later.
Oh, yeah?
Sounds familiar.
Really? So, well, this is the thing. I mean, that sounds weird, and I was a weird kid, and a really boring one maybe. But actually, this kind of thing is not that uncommon. Like, other people have these little structures, as I said, these rituals for managing their time. A few examples from people I know, a few more exotic ones, include my friend Nathan's technique. He calls it Sunday sort-outs. So he chunks all his time for doing things and getting everything done into this Sunday afternoon block. And he sits down and closes his door, puts on some music, and this time is for both boring life admin stuff like planning his working week and also more exciting things like planning his next holiday. My housemate Luke has daily dashboards, so these are worksheets with icons on them, and the icons represent various good habits like stretching, talking to a friend, talking to his family, doing paid work, and he ticks the icons off as he does them and scores himself every day. And lest his life gets too regimented, there's a YOLO icon as well, which he ticks off if he does something spontaneous that day.
Oh, wow. Jesus. Gone for a week.
My friend Jude had one where it was the 21-point perfect day, it was called. So he thought about everything that would happen on a perfect day and assigned point values to everything. And then every day he would try and achieve the perfect day by looking at the checklist at the end of the day. So it was kind of a guiding vision for him in moving towards the perfect days. So these examples again are pretty funny, but I suspect that everyone here has like not necessarily really weird extreme examples like that, or like me as a kid, but different techniques that they've developed or read, or and I've read in a few places and combined them and made their own version of it. Little techniques to stay on top of work or to-do lists or goals. And after this, I'd kind of be interested in hearing some of those from you and discussing it further. It seems actually that this idea is almost ubiquitous. There are big communities around different approaches to getting work done. There's things like the self-journal, I don't know if you've heard of that one, the bullet journal as well, the 5-minute journal, the checklist manifesto, another one, it's a really interesting one. And all these things have big communities around them that are passionate about how this thing really works for them. So, what's going on here? Is there kind of a best practice for how to get things done? Are there universal elements that we can pull out of these? Or is it just pick one technique and if it works for you, it works for you? What are the universals? I got interested in this, and that's how I stumbled across David Allen, who wrote the Getting Things Done book. And as you know, yesterday I did a Getting Things Done workshop all day. So essentially, he started asking these questions. He was interested in how do people work, why do they work the way they do, what are these weird rituals they're coming up with, and is there anything more to that, is there anything deeper to that? And his answer came in the form of his book, Getting Things Done, which is a methodology for approaching any kind of commitment, whether it be work or personal. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to try and convince you to adopt some new methodology and scrap your own today. As David Allen himself would say, there's no such thing as a perfect system. And getting things done is not very prescriptive. It's more of, like I said, an attempt to answer the question, are there universals to how we should work and what works best given how our brains are structured? And what can we leverage from how our brains naturally work to get more things done? Getting things done is pretty simple. I'm not going to take you through it all now, but in a nutshell, I guess you could summarize it like this. Take everything that's in your head and put it all into a system you trust that you review regularly, and that allows you to intuitively and appropriately engage with your responsibilities and your projects and what's important to you. I accidentally discovered Getting Things Done on a plane, of all places. I was watching an interview with David Allen, and it struck me that throughout the years I'd been interested in this myself ever since I was a kid, writing my job description for my school holidays, trying to get more playtime that way, and refining it. Sure, it was refined very often since I was 7, but I've never really thought deeply about, okay, what's working and why, and how should I be trying to get things done? How can I maximize the time? How can I be more in the present moment and get everything off my head and into some system that works for me and allows me to be more productive? So one aspect of getting things done I want to just share with you today as an example is under the first step, I guess, So as I said, getting things done starts with getting everything out of your head. As David Allen would say, the mind is a great place for having ideas and a terrible place for holding ideas. It's one of his main principles, I guess you could say. So I feel like I'm going to be preaching to the choir here, with the creatives at least, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But getting things done starts with this thing called a mind sweep. So just to give you a taste of getting things done, a mind sweep is essentially sitting down and getting everything out of your head and into something like a notepad. Works for most people, can be anything. The point is to non-judgmentally get everything out of your head and onto something that you can then look at, categorize, organize, and so forth. So, as I was saying, creatives are probably already familiar with the advantages of non-judgmental creative brainstorming and blue-sky thinking. It's probably essentially when I studied art direction and copywriting, that's probably the main thing they taught me, just how to brainstorm and how to come up with ideas quickly and not judge them until step 2, when you start looking at it, looking for patterns and so forth. And according to David Allen's research, that's actually how our brains tend to work. The magic is that once your head is empty and you're looking at all these things on a piece of paper or otherwise, you start to see patterns and inspirations, and the brain is naturally very good at that. It's not so good at holding lists inside. I use the mind sweep in a few different ways. Just 2 examples, one from Freckle and one from at home. At Freckle, for a new project, what I tend to do is, while we're being briefed or going through the briefing process, I'll be writing as fast as I can, or just scrolling anything just as fast as I can, trying to keep my pen moving, just capturing everything on my notepad. So not really thinking critically about anything yet. Everything's going on there, anything that's in my head. Technical considerations, things I might have to ask later, possible creative directions. At this point it doesn't have to even really make sense. It just has to come out of my head and onto the piece of paper. And being a bit of a visual person, sometimes it's not even English. I might draw little symbols or icons and I'll remember what they mean later when I go through and analyze what's on the bit of paper and look for connections and so forth. Another example is about once a week I do this thing called morning pages. So the idea here is just to free write for 15 or 20 minutes. And I use the laptop for this one, not my notepad. I essentially just try to, again, not stop writing, just keep writing and get everything out of my head. The point is just into my head again. It's just a disposable piece of content for an audience of 1. So it's not judgmental, it's just seeing what's in there. And with morning pages, technically you're meant to just throw it out as soon as you're done. But sometimes I do read over it and I pull little ideas out and look for keywords like, I wish this was that way, and that can be something to explore, maybe a goal or a project there. So that's a mind sweep, that's part of getting things done, and that's a little taste of it for you. Now, let me just make sure I covered everything there.
5 minutes over.
Sorry?
4 minutes over.
4 minutes over?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll wrap it up. So, just to finish up on that, with mind sweeps, you can set a context, or it can just be get everything out of your head. You can set a context like a brief example. It's something like everything I have to do at the office, or everything about this job, or like morning pages where it's everything that's on my mind. If there's something on your mind, there's a reason for that. And according to David Allen, that reason is usually that you have more thinking to do about that thing. How much do you have to plan for a project? The answer is if it's off your mind, you've planned enough. the getting things done approach. So, another getting things done concept is what's the next action. Be mindful of the next action of projects. So, as I get to the end of this speech, what's the next action for you guys? I encourage you to try Minesweep in some context. It's very simple, deceptively so. Getting things done is all pretty simple stuff, but that's not to say it doesn't work and it's not powerful. If you want to know more about getting things done, you can ask me, of course, or you can have a browse of this book.
You can do promotional
I'll
stuff.
put it in the office.
He's working under commission.
That's the man himself, David Allen. Bookmark the page that talks about Minesweeps as well. So if you're curious, you can have a browse of that at your leisure. So, bottom line, no matter what you're doing, what you're trying to do, whether it's personal projects, work projects, there are things you're doing to try and make that happen, and if you're mindful of those things, then it means you'll be able to move towards success faster. And no matter what techniques you use, just keep in mind that getting things done vision of being able to get to that point, that productive experience where you can intuitively and appropriately engage with the moment and use your time well.